Welcome to the Intuitive Rising podcast. I'm your host, Amy Brookes. Up until about 5 years ago, I was your average mom of three. It was after the sudden loss of my father that my life changed forever and the rising within me began. Since then, I've embraced my gifts and have stepped into my role as an evidential psychic medium, past life reader, higher self mentor, holy fire Reiki practitioner, and published author. In this podcast, we will talk all things spiritual and healing through a very grounded and relatable approach. I hope you'll continue to join me each week, remembering who you always were as we rise together. Hello, risers. Amy Brookes here, your host, as always, and we're here today to do a June energetic forecast. Now, I don't know about you, but wow, June. Welcome June. Welcome June. Halfway through 2023, it seems kind of crazy to me that we are already here. But, 2023 has been relatively good to me. There's always those, pushes and pulls, and there's always the learning through the struggle. But overall, I feel like I am in a better place in many ways now, here where we stand in almost June, compared to where I was in January. So I'll take that as a win. And I hope that you also can and do reflect back on your journey every so often and, really contemplate the difference. Really contemplate what you have achieved, how you have changed. Those little things that you might not think are a big deal, because when you add them up, they create a whole new opportunity, a whole new, way of being. It's kind of reminding me of how, there's 60 seconds in a minute, right? And there are 60 minutes in an hour, and that each of those seconds or those minutes just kind of fly by and don't really seem that significant. But when you add them together, they make up the whole day. They make up the whole month, the whole year, your whole life, right? So Spirit has really been reminding me of how those little things add up to a whole bunch. I feel like that's where we're going to be going today, and some of the guidance that wants to come through for us. So I have already gone ahead and pulled the 3 cards as I always do. I pull a tarot, an oracle, and a soul's journey lesson card for each of these monthly energetic forecasts. And I've already gone ahead and done that and jotted down a few notes, but you know how I work. I will channel in the moment. I have been getting so much feedback lately from you guys about my most recent episodes. I don't know if I'm just kind of finding my groove as a host, as a podcaster, as a speaker. I'm not sure. But I definitely have heard that some of the things that I'm talking about are resonating and hitting, and have been receiving a lot of feedback about that. So thank you. I so appreciate it. If there is ever a topic of interest for you that you would like me to address and speak my opinions on, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I am so open to that feedback and to that information. So June 2023, what can we expect? How do we best align? Okay, this is what the intention is for these energetic forecasts is what are we, what is the energy trying to teach us, right? The energy is going to be the energy regardless, right? It's and it manifests in opportunities that we have that come up in this month. It manifests in the people that we meet, in the things that they say. It manifests in the, conversations we have. I just said that, but I feel like that just needs to be reiterated potentially. That's the way that we're receiving messages for this month. It manifests in a lot of different ways. You'll know that I'm sure you guys have been around long enough to know that the energy of, say, one month is vastly different from another. Some months we'll say are quote unquote good months or quote unquote bad months. I would like to reframe that. It's not so much good or bad. It's not really about that duality, right? We are creatures of duality, right? We want to make everything this or that. There's a heck of a lot more gray in the universe than you would think. And so I feel like there's a little bit of a, mindset shift around the concept of good and bad. It just is, right? And if we have a mindset of, okay, so like this is a heads up of what the energy may feel like for me, and the opportunities that might come my way are trying to teach me this. Maybe the struggles that happen to me in this month, if I dug deep, I can see that they're trying to teach me this, right? If that's what you take this energetic forecast for and as, then you're putting yourself in a really, really good place, right? This is a growth kind of mindset. And this is how you best align with the energy. Okay, so let's get started. So the tarot card for June 2023, the message for us from the tarot is the Seven of Pentacles. Now this could not be more perfect. It really, really couldn't. So this is all about, waiting for our seeds to grow, waiting for the fruits of our labor to show up. So I do feel this general sense of a little bit of impatience. Many of us may be feeling a little bit impatient right now, right? Like, I put all this work in. Where the heck are you? Where's my harvest? Where's the fruits of my labor? Maybe you're getting a taste of it. It's just not happening fast enough. So there could be a little bit of impatience coming in as well for you. Okay. Do you remember when I said earlier how all the little things matter? All those little things add up to a whole bunch, right? 60 seconds leads to 1 minute, 1 minute leads to, 60 minutes leads to 1 hour, 1 hour leads to, 24, and so forth and so forth. That's our whole life. So Spirit is reminding us that there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that we might just not be seeing yet. And we might be feeling impatient or frustrated or, oh my God, when the heck is this going to happen for me? Okay. And as a heads up, it's good to come from this place of reflection. Reflection and perseverance are going to be the medicine for this month. Okay. Reflection, gratitude. Stop for a moment and reflect on how far you've come. Maybe crap's hitting the fan right now and there's been an ending or a transition. I definitely feel a lot of that transition kind of crossroads energy lately. It's been a theme with my client readings. And so there's just a lot of things happening right now. There's a lot of cycles of, ends and beginnings. But sometimes we can get so focused on like, okay, this ended. Where the heck is the new beginning? This is a reminder that all of that stuff is growing. It's all there for you. It's kind of like if you were, say you lost your job, okay? There might be a tendency for you, like, it's okay to feel your feelings. You know how I feel about this. It's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to be mad and sad and all of the above. But sometimes we can get stuck there because we take that loss very personally, okay? And this doesn't come through in any sort of judgmental way. This is human nature, right? But the laws of energy is that like attracts like, okay? And so if we are able to gradually move towards a mindset of curiosity is growth mindset. When you can look at something and say, okay, like, yeah, that really pisses me off, but what is that trying to tell me? Why did that go away? Why did that end? If you can think about that a little more this month, it will serve you very well. Okay, so let me go over this again. We may be feeling a little bit impatient. We may be feeling a little bit frustrated because we've been putting all the effort in and we don't see the outcome yet, or the outcome is not coming fast enough for us. This is because of our expectations around the outcome and what we want to happen. Maybe not knowing the big picture of why things are taking a little bit longer. If we have a trust in the universe and in ourselves that everything is always working out for me, then this might be a little bit easier to swallow. I want your homework for the month of June is to look at things through the lens of curiosity. Why did that happen? What is this trying to teach me? Am I missing the big picture? If we take a moment of pause, if we take a moment to reflect on our journey, I've said recently, that when we're doing the work, when we're on the self discovery journey, right? We're on the healing journey. We often can get frustrated with it because, or maybe we lose some steam around doing it because we're like, is this really doing anything? Because I feel the same as I did a month ago. And I know I've been there and I've felt that. I'm sure you have as well. But Spirit reminds me that we do not always, very often, we do not see our growth until we're placed in a boiling pot. When crap hits the fan, this is when we really notice, if we take a moment and allow ourselves, through this lens of curiosity, this is when we notice that all those little things have changed. Something about you, something about your mindset, something about the way you feel about something. That all those days of, 5-minute meditations and breath work and pulling oracle cards and tapping into your intuition and all of that healing and, we're going through layers, all of that stuff is making a huge difference, and it is growing, and the roots are just spreading deeper and deeper and deeper. I'm reminded of how a tree, I'm being given this image in my mind, how a tree is the same size rather, under the ground as it is out of the ground. There's a lot of growth and structure, and there's a lot of foundation under the ground that nobody sees. But it's still supporting the tree. It's vital to the tree. If that root system was cut off, the tree would die. So these things that you're doing underneath, inside, the day-to-day, Spirit reminds you might be losing sight of the importance of all of that, and you really need to persevere right now. Perseverance is a key word for the month of June. Your seeds are growing, my friends. They are growing. Reflect now that we're here in the middle of 2022. What has changed for me since December 2021? What has changed since the new year? Where have I grown? If this happened then, would I react the same way? What have I done that was brave? What have I done that was, how did I move beyond some limiting self-belief? This is what you're really, really being asked to focus on. For whatever reasons, the concept of money comes in this moment. So this could have to do, for some of you listening, it could be about your finances or your savings, or maybe you're trying to save something. You're trying to get ahead financially. You're trying to pay off debt. You're trying to buy a house, whatever those things are that you're trying to do. And you're like, oh, I'm doing all these things and I'm cutting back on this and I'm cutting back on this, and it's not making any difference. Spirit reminds us, but it is. It is. Even if, it's just $5 extra a month that you can put away. That is an investment in your future and in yourself. And every time you set a boundary with yourself, you stay committed to yourself and what you want, every time you persevere, you are also investing in yourself energetically. You're nurturing and building this connection and relationship with your soul. So if you're like, I set my commitment that I was going to cut back on fill in the blank. Have some grace with yourself, first of all, because especially if you're trying to do something, you're trying to break some habit or some cycle or something that has been in your life a long time and you've just kind of been like that for a long time. Have some grace with yourself that it might not be an overnight success, but also know that kind of keeping that commitment with yourself around the investment in self means a whole heck of a lot this month. Okay, your seeds are growing. Also, please know that the feeling of impatience you might be feeling about how things are happening, or the the pace of them happening, is definitely a opportunity for alignment. Okay, drink of water. Let's move on to the Oracle card message. So this is from my Angel Guide Oracle deck. I couldn't remember there for a moment, but here we are. And the card we got is the Sacred Plan card. Okay, so Sacred Plan, what is this all about? Well, this is all about trusting in the big picture, trusting in something bigger than yourself. This is about not forcing anything, okay? Which is an interesting balance. So this is like trust that your seeds are growing, continue to persevere and do that. But there needs to be a little bit of a push and pull. There needs to be a little bit of a balance this month between what's coming in the moment is like your mindset and your heart. We don't need to force things this month, right? Maybe that's why Have Some Grace came in for us just a moment ago. We don't need to force. So this comes in around timing, right? So if you're getting impatient about something, you're like, oh my God, this hasn't happened fast enough. When is it going to happen? This is coming in trust. It's all falling into place as it should. There's a lot going on underneath, beyond the surface. There's a lot of moving parts here, and you might not be able to see the bigger picture. So don't force things. This is not the same as not doing anything. It's about doing what you can and then going, okay, I've done what I can. I have to have a little trust in the situation that it's going to work out for me. Okay, so that's what this card's about, trusting in the greater good and plan. I'm just looking at my notes here. Some of the things I wrote down. I wrote, frustration happens when we don't see our quote unquote perfect plan unfolding as we would like it to, or when we would like it to. This is the piece of the forcing. So when we're forcing something, we are apt to feel frustration. Frustration came in this card. Frustration and impatience comes in again with this oracle card. So I'm going to repeat this. Frustration happens because we don't see our quote unquote perfect plan unfolding as we think it should and when we think it should. We're reminded that redirection is direction. If something's ending and we can look at it through a view of curiosity and compassion and grace, we allow ourselves to feel our feelings, but we also don't get stuck and live there forever. It's essentially like if you think of your emotions as messengers. So if you are the vessel, if you're the radio, and this feeling, this energy of a feeling, wants to be felt by your soul. The radio's turned on. The feeling is the song. Just think of yourself like a radio. You don't have to personally attach yourself to the song. The radio is not attached to the song that comes through. It just allows it to be used as that vessel. So you're being asked to think about that this month. That might be a really good way for you to think about the emotions of frustration and impatience that come through this month, potentially, around the speed of something happening. I love this quote too, what I wrote down here. It says, the greater plan isn't pre-chosen for you, but rather a culmination of all your life's intentions, prayers, and actions leading to opportunities and experiences. The greater plan isn't pre-chosen for you, but rather a culmination of all your life's intentions, prayers, and actions leading to opportunities and experiences. Sometimes when I'll do a higher self reading, I remember this coming through in once or twice when I was doing somebody's higher self reading, how, there can be things that feel predestined to happen. Like this is my mission to do this, right? Say, well, let's talk about me. I feel like it is my mission to embrace my spirituality so that I can step into the leader that my soul wanted to become in this lifetime. That's part of my current life mission. So this could have manifested in many different ways. It's not like there is a direct path to follow, and that is the only way to embody and achieve that goal. I could have been like a traditional teacher, could have been a nurse, I could have been an author, I could have been anything that my heart desired. And if I was able to embody and express that mission of like, let's be a leader, let's have our voice heard, let's guide people, then I would have been successful in my mission. So there's no one set like parallel path. So this greater plan is not pre-chosen for you. There's multiple pathways that you could choose. Your intuition is guiding you 24/7. I often hear from spirit too, like, you can't F this up. You can't F it up. If you're listening to your intuition, your inner knowing, you can't F it up. You can't. That's the blueprint. That's the blueprint. That will take you where you need to go. I'm sure in hindsight, you might not have, I certainly haven't always listened to my intuition. There was many times that I did things that was not aligned for me, right? And the red flags and the whole bells and whistles were going off in my head, my heart, and in my soul, but I still did those things. And that might have maybe that put me on a pathway of a little bit of extra lessons. I just feel like there's an extra, it makes the path a little longer sometimes. But I also think that sometimes we as a soul make the decision to take that longer path, and that's not a failure. Like, yes, we could have taken another path and it would have been accelerated. Maybe we got to the destination quicker. Like, for example, me doing this work and not stepping into it till I was 38. Maybe there could have been another choice if I was really listening to my inner knowing, that when I was in my early 20s, I would have found this path for myself. But my soul chose the scenic route, right? And in hindsight, I can see that all the experiences and the struggles and the challenges and the heartache and, the people that I've lost along the way have given me this extra layer of experience, and that I needed it to step into this part of myself, right? So I feel like that's part of the reflection on the journey too, is having compassion and grace for yourself. I really do feel like Spirit is urging us to let some things go a little bit, allow a little bit, really look at things with this lens of curiosity. Like, yeah, I really effed that up, but like, why did I do that? Oh, well, I wasn't listening to my intuition. But that was an opportunity for me to learn how my intuition speaks to me. That was an opportunity for my intuition to show me what happens when I don't listen to it. And that situation really sucked, but I'm able to take some sort of value out of it because it taught me something. My arm hairs are standing up. So Spirit likes this. Okay. To end with this card, we may feel a bit uncertain at times, but we are always guided and protected. One of the recent episodes I put out here was on spirit guides. If you haven't listened to it, go back and give it a listen. It's one of those episodes that I've been getting a lot of feedback on that people loved. Okay. And in that, I share how we all have free will. We all have spiritual protection. We all have a spirit team, and that they are ready. They are at the ready to assist you, but that you need to ask. Okay. So we may feel uncertain, but we're always guided and protected. So another reminder to listen to our intuition and to connect to our spirit guides. Go back to that episode if you need a little refresher. Okay. Okay. Last card, we pulled a soul's journey lesson cards. So what is the lesson that we're learning through, these kind of opportunities, through the impatience, through the frustration, through the allowing things to unfold, looking at things through a lens of curiosity? What are we learning? What lesson are we learning through those? And the card we got is envy, which I think is a very interesting lesson for this month. So it says on the card, I am the same as everybody, but with different challenges. And before I started recording this, I wrote down a few notes. I felt I was definitely channeling from spirit when I was writing these down, which I'm going to share with you now. But I also wanted to let you know that this concept of envy has come in for me before from spirit. I believe for a client actually, and how, from the soul's perspective, envy is not necessarily a bad thing, right? Like we've all heard that person was green with envy. So we have these negative connotations to the word and the feeling of envy. If we feel that inside, we're like, oh, this is bad. Like this is a not a good way to be, right? Like it's not desirable to be an envious person. But if we can look at the concept of envy for what it is and what it's trying to show us, we can move away from that kind of limitation of our human feelings. It is a human quality to feel envious once in a while, to feel jealous once in a while. But what if we could look at those qualities and those emotions through a different lens? Because envy shows you your potential. Ooh, I'm covered in goose pimples as I said that. Envy shows up to show you your potential. That's the purpose. Let's say that again. Envy shows your potential. Rather than judge yourself, observe what you admire or envy in that person or situation. This is how you can best align with the energy of the opportunity rather than repel it by feeling separate from or judging yourself. There's a lot of truth bombs in this episode. I feel like I need to repeat that. Envy shows you your potential. Wow. And rather than judge yourself for feeling envious or jealous of something or someone, observe what you admire or envy in the person or the situation, and you will then align with the energy of that opportunity to come to you, for you to try that out, for you to do that thing, rather than repel it by feeling separate from and judging self. I feel like this really ties into the Seven of Pentacles card. If we're feeling impatient, right? There's a feeling of like almost judging yourself for, did I do something wrong? Like, why isn't it showing up? Why is that person, did this and they're kind of running with it and it's just taken a really long time for me? Does this mean I shouldn't do this? Does this mean I can't do this? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. So we're really being asked to get in this place of observation in the month of June, to reflect, to give ourselves kudos comes through on how we actually have changed. And that will best align with the energy of that, whatever that thing is that we're manifesting, that we're desiring, that we're getting impatient about and over. We then align with the opportunity to come with us, to come to us. So say it's like you are, I don't know, creating something for work. You are creating a course, a mentorship, whatever it is, something personal. And you are like, oh my God, like why that person does it and they're so successful and I don't think I can do that. And I put my offer out and it's crickets. So like, does that mean that I just suck? Like if you desire to do that thing in the first place. And then if you're looking at somebody else and they seem to have an overnight success, which by the way is never overnight, there is a lot of things that go left unsaid that people don't always talk about. Business owners don't always talk about when things are crickets, or how many years and launches it took to get to where they are now. We are comparing ourselves to somebody else's story, and they might have, been working at something for 10 years, and we just waltz in here after 6 months and expect to be in the same place. It doesn't always work that way. We're not seeing the big picture. So if we want to align with that energy of what that thing is that we want, we really need to step away from feeling separate from it, that it's not possible for us. And we really need to stop judging ourselves about the timing. Timing is a big thing for the month of June. Okay. Reflect on your sense of time. Something for me, like that comes in for me, is that because one of my biggest triggers is feeling rushed. I do not like feeling rushed. It makes me angry. Right? And then I start getting frustrated and impatient, and then it's a snowball effect from there. So for me, when I feel rushed or I feel like I'm running out of time, it's a really big indicator for me that my tank is almost empty, right? Like the empty tank sign, need gas kind of goes on. Check engine light, right? I know that means I am not aligned right now. Maybe I'm not aligned with the situation, the energy. I need to take an inventory. I need to take a moment to pause and reflect on why I'm feeling that way. And you might also be feeling that way in June. So I hope you enjoyed this episode and that the tools that have come through will be helpful for you. Have a wonderful June, and I'll see you back here next week for another episode of the Intuitive Rising podcast, but I'll see you here next month for July's energetic forecast. Have a good one, everyone. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Intuitive Rising podcast. If you would like to continue the chats and join a group of like-minded souls on their own spiritual journey, please request to join the Intuitive Rising community over on Facebook. All are welcome. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider giving it a 5-star rating. If you'd like to connect with me directly, please visit my website at theintuitiverising.com.